Under the golden October sun, Officer Sarah Mitchell adjusted her badge and steered her patrol car through the familiar streets of Oakwood, a small town in suburban Ohio. The air was crisp, the kind of fall day that lured folks out to front porches and playgrounds. Sarah, a seasoned officer in her early 50s, felt a quiet pride in her work. Oakwood wasn't perfect. Tension simmered between its diverse residents and the police, but she believed she could make a difference. Today, though, a single call would unravel her world and spark a firestorm that would change the town forever. As Sarah cruised past Maple Street, her radio crackled. "All units, be advised. Suspicious individual reported near Oakwood Market. Black woman in a police uniform, not affiliated with the department." Sarah's brow furrowed. The description was vague, almost absurd. An imposter in uniform? In Oakwood? She tightened her grip on the wheel and headed toward the market, her mind racing. The town had seen its share of racial strife, protests, heated town halls, distrust on both sides. A call like this could ignite a powder keg. At the market, a crowd had gathered, their murmurs buzzing like static. Sarah parked and stepped out, feeling the weight of curious and wary eyes. Inside the cramped store, fluorescent lights cast a harsh glow. A woman stood at the far end of an aisle, her police uniform pristine, her posture calm but resolute. Sarah's pulse quickened. "Excuse me, ma'am," she called, her voice firm but measured. The woman turned slowly, her gaze steady. "I'm Officer Sarah Mitchell, Oakwood PD. May I see some identification?" The woman nodded, producing a badge. "I'm Angela Carter, Internal Review Division," she said, her tone calm yet edged with defiance. Sarah squinted at the badge. It looked legitimate, but something felt off. The crowd outside pressed closer to the windows, their silhouettes looming. Her radio crackled again, back up inbound. Subject may not be alone. The air grew thick with tension. Was Angela who she claimed to be, or was this a setup? Sarah's instincts screamed caution, but her duty demanded answers. "Stay where you are, Miss Carter," Sarah said, her hand resting near her holster. Angela's eyes narrowed. "Is that a warning or a threat, officer?" The question hung heavy, a challenge wrapped in composure. Outside, sirens wailed as more squad cars arrived, escalating the standoff. The shopkeeper fidgeted behind the counter, his eyes darting between the women. Sarah felt the crowd's scrutiny like a spotlight. One wrong move could spark chaos. But Angela's next words shifted the ground beneath Sarah's feet. "I'm here to audit your department's practices, bias, misconduct, the works. Some folks don't want that truth uncovered." Sarah's heart skipped. An internal audit? In Oakwood? Whispers of departmental shakeups had circulated, but nothing concrete. Was Angela a reformer or a provocateur? The crowd's murmurs grew louder, some shouting accusations of harassment, others demanding answers. Sarah had to decide, trust Angela's story or follow protocol and detain her. She chose dialogue. "If you're legit, let's talk this out at the station," Sarah said, lowering her voice. Angela nodded, her expression softening slightly. "Truth doesn't need a fight, officer. Let's find it together." As they stepped outside, the crowd parted, some cheering, others glaring. Sarah radioed in, "Situation stable. Subject cooperating." The other officers stood down, but the tension lingered, a storm barely contained. Back at the precinct, Sarah's mind churned. Angela's revelation about an audit hinted at deeper rot within the department. Oakwood PD wasn't known for scandal, but Sarah had seen enough officers cutting corners, subtle biases in arrests, resistance to change. If Angela was telling the truth, this could expose it all. But who was pulling the strings? And why target Oakwood? That evening, Sarah made a call that would change everything. She dialed Ellen Harper, a civil rights attorney and old friend who'd fought systemic injustice for decades. Ellen's voice was sharp and steady. "Sarah, what's going on? You sound rattled." Sarah recounted the day's events, her voice low. "This isn't just about one incident, Ellen. There's something bigger, maybe a cover-up. I need your help to navigate this without tearing the department apart." Ellen didn't hesitate. "We go public, but strategically. I'll reach out to trusted reporters. You gather allies inside the precinct. This is a fight for the soul of Oakwood, Sarah." The words hit hard. Sarah wasn't just an officer anymore. She was a catalyst in a battle for justice. But the stakes were high. Her career, her reputation, and the fragile trust of her community hung in the balance. The next morning, Sarah faced a precinct buzzing with unease. Word of the market incident had spread, and colleagues cast sidelong glances. Some, like Officer Rachel Evans, offered quiet support. "You did the right thing, Sarah," Rachel whispered. not everyone would have listened to her. Others, like Detective Tom Bradley, were less kind. Stirring up trouble, Mitchell? He muttered, his tone laced with cynicism. This department doesn't need outsiders poking around. Sarah ignored the jabs and met with Angela again, this time in a secure office. Angela laid it bare. A network of influential figures, cops, city officials, even local business leaders were resisting reforms to protect their power. They'll fight dirty, Angela warned. But you've got the community on your side if you play this right. Sarah's resolve hardened. She wasn't alone. Ellen, Rachel, and now Angela were with her. But the opposition was formidable, and whispers of retaliation were already spreading. The turning point came at a community forum organized by Ellen. The town hall was packed, residents of all ages and backgrounds filling the pews of Oakwood's old Methodist church. A young man named Jamal Wright took the mic, his voice trembling but firm. I was stopped 3 times last year for looking suspicious. I was just walking home. We need change, and Officer Mitchell's fighting for it. His words ignited the room, stories of injustice pouring out. An elderly woman, Mrs. Clara Thompson, stood next. I've lived here 60 years. Never thought I'd see the police listen. Don't let us down, Sarah. Sarah stepped forward, her heart pounding. This isn't about me, she said. It's about building a system that serves everyone. We're not perfect, but we're trying. The crowd erupted in applause, but not everyone was swayed. A handful of hecklers, some tied to the old guard, shouted objections, accusing Sarah of betraying her badge. The room teetered on the edge of chaos, but Ellen's calm presence restored order. We're here for solutions, she said, redirecting the focus to policy changes. Behind the scenes, Sarah and Ellen met with Chief Daniel Foster, a pragmatic leader nearing retirement. They presented evidence from Angela's audit, emails, memos, and recordings implicating a clique within the department. Foster's face was grim. This goes deeper than I thought, he admitted. But exposing it could fracture the force. Sarah leaned forward. Chief, the fracture's already there. Hiding it only makes it worse. Let's lead with truth. Foster agreed, a rare flicker of admiration in his eyes. He drafted a public statement, acknowledging past failures and committing to an independent oversight board. The announcement hit Oakwood like a thunderbolt. Local news ran nonstop coverage, and national outlets picked up the story. Protests erupted, some in support, others decrying the witch hunt. Sarah became a lightning rod, praised by reformers and vilified by traditionalists. The showdown came at a departmental hearing. Sarah faced a panel of senior officers, their faces a mix of skepticism and curiosity. Detective Bradley, now openly hostile, accused her of undermining morale. You've turned us into the enemy, he snapped. Sarah held her ground. The enemy is complacency, Tom. We swore to protect, not to protect ourselves. Rachel testified in her defense, recounting Sarah's fairness in the field. Even Chief Foster spoke, endorsing the reforms and praising Sarah's courage. The panel's ruling was clear. Sarah was cleared of misconduct, and the oversight board was greenlit. The clique's influence was dismantled, with several officers reassigned or retired early. Oakwood PD began mandatory bias training, and community forums became a monthly staple. The changes weren't perfect, but they were real. Months later, Sarah stood outside the precinct, watching kids play in the park across the street. Jamal approached, a shy smile on his face. Thanks, Officer Mitchell. Feels like we're finally being heard. Sarah nodded, her throat tight. We're just getting started, Jamal. Oakwood had changed. The scars of division remained, but they were healing, stitched together by honest conversations and hard-won trust. Sarah knew the fight wasn't over, resistance would always linger, but she'd found her purpose. With Ellen, Rachel, and the people of Oakwood by her side, she'd keep pushing for a justice that served all. What do you think about Sarah's journey? Have you witnessed injustice or violence in your community, and how did you respond? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective on building a fair world. Let's keep this conversation going.